ScienceMag.com.
For those of you that are watching Space Dandy on Toonami right now, I voice Honey. Any honeybees in here? Yay, honeybee! Let's see, what else came out? Oh, in Psychopaths, oh my gosh, I forgot her name. It's the best friend of the main character. I think she's a supporting character. What else recently that came out? Haruka and Aesthetica of a Rogue Hero, that recently came out. Some older things that I've done, I was Musubi in Sekirei, I was Mocha in Rosario Plus Vampire. Oh yeah, Julia Crichton in Full Metal Alchemist, Sacred Star of Milos, thank you. I'm like trying to remember. Kumajiro in Chibi Japan and Hetalia. All kinds of other fun. Osaya and Blood Sea, all kinds of other fun stuff. So, yeah. This is just a general Q&A. You guys can just ask questions about shows that either Josh and I have been in. Josh and I have been in a lot of shows together. Maybe I should go into that. We were both in Hero Tales together. We were in Baka and Test. What else? Line Barrels of Iron. Should have made a list. There's a show that we're in right now that it's hopefully going to be announced soon. It's really, really awesome. But I can't talk about it. I know it's like the only bad thing about this job. It's like we record things about 6 months before they're released, and so that entire time we're like, because we can't say anything until Funimation comes out with a cast list. So it really sucks. What other shows have we been in? Oh, Aquarion Evil, that just came out recently. We're in that. We usually play people, like two people that hate each other in the beginning, and then they end up being love interests. It's really weird. So, yeah. So while we're waiting for him, do you guys have any questions to start us off?
You're pretty.
Oh, thank you. Whoever said that.
Question.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Do I see a hand? I can just gab. I'm really good at that. You guys just want me to talk. Let's see. Oh, the sound thing. Okay, say something again.
I bet you're wondering why college involved here.
No. Well, let's see if, I mean, my...
Wait, does that, oh, hey, oh, try it again.
No.
Try it again.
Alexis.
I'm trying.
Good morning.
Morning. Hey, can you hear them?
Yes.
Yay! Okay, Josh Grelle, everyone.
Can you turn the lights down in the front?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, and I guess we're not going to see your face. We just see Jean-Luc Picard making a derpy face. So. Yes!
The greatest representation that I could ever get anywhere.
Well, and you met Patrick Stewart, didn't you? Yeah, you met Patrick Stewart.
You suck.
Okay.
You gotta
So,
set
what was I going to say?
so jelly right now.
Oh, the panel we're doing. This is supposed to be shenanigans. Oh, there you are. Now we can see you. And you look creepy because you have the mirror reflecting off of you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I told them to make grunts of approval at how sexy you look. So they didn't do it.
You look like a robot.
Yeah, this is supposed to be shenanigans with you and I.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Remember? Yes.
Oh, we heard about shenanigans.
Yeah.
Still local.
Yeah. But you're sick, so they're gonna be like downgraded a bit.
Never stopped that before.
That's true.
You can't stop the bus.
Right.
What do you say?
You can't stop the, what did you say?
The bus.
The bus. You can't stop the bus.
Yes.
Yes. And you're kind of freezing, so it's even funnier. Because right now, you're making a derpy face because you're frozen. I don't want you to feel self-conscious.
Yeah, this is awesome. Let's see if I can fix this. Come on, Skype. What are you doing?
Not cooperating, apparently. Whoa.
Oh.
Give it a minute.
Hello?
I'm scared.
Oh, he's still there. Okay. We just lost your face.
Yeah, I lose my face all the time.
Let's see if we can do
I'm
something.
doing panels like this from now on.
See, I'll get strep throat for the next convention, and then
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be.
Well, I know a guy we can arrange.
A little early for that.
All right. It's a Saturday. It's never too early. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Shenanigans! Yeah, you had to know what you were in for. Okay, so while we're trying to figure this out, I was trying to think of all the shows that you and I have been in together, and we're in Hero Tales. I said Hero Tales. I said Line Girls of Iron. Baka and Test. I said Aquarion Evil. There's one we can't talk about.
Yes.
I know there's more than that.
But soon.
But soon, yeah, hopefully.
I'm trying to think.
Loading.
Are you just listing them as stuff that where we play off of each other,
Yeah.
or just shows that we've been? Okay, we're
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try a sound thing.
Okay.
Sekirei.
Oh yeah. You're in Sekiro.
No, there's been a lot.
I know. Well, and then we've been in a lot of shows just in general together, but I was trying to think of specifically the shows that you said we played off of each other.
Did we play off each other in Shinkoucon?
I don't think I was in that.
Okay.
That was the loop in the third. Hey, this is a G-rated panel, dude.
PG.
Hey, PG. Bro.
PG. Okay.
Calm down. I know you're sick.
Parental guidance.
Calm down.
You can swear at 11 o'clock at the uncensored guy.
Dang it. Yeah, well, does anyone have any questions? Staring is not a question. Yeah, right there.
How did you meet?
How did we meet, Josh Greeley?
We actually met, that's from what I remember, during Line Girls of Iron.
Yes.
We met, I was sitting on the very comfy plush couch outside of Joel's studio at
This
the
is
time.
very specific.
And then, yeah, you had just finished your session, and I was about to go in. And
Okay.
that's when we met, right there.
And fireworks and magic and bunnies and rainbows, and we were destined to be friends. Line Girls of Iron was my very first lead role at Funimation, and you've been doing voice work in Houston for a while, hadn't you? And but you hadn't been at Funimation.
ADV Films in 2004.
Right, but you had just come to Funimation, right?
Yeah, I really started up with them with Kenichi, and I think that was about 6 months, maybe 4 to 6 months before Line Girl.
Okay. I had done a couple of things at Funimation, but since Line Girls of Iron was my first big role, I was really nervous, and I was like, I hope people like me, oh gosh. And I do remember when I first met you that you were like, I've heard your voice in this, and you sound great. And I was like, you sound great. Oh my gosh, you're my Koichi. This is so awesome and surreal. And I just remember how supportive you were, and just how you're just like, no, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fine. And you were like that with Tia too, because Tia Ballard, who's also here this weekend, that was her first. Line Girls of Iron was her first lead role too. So. Yeah, it was really fun.
You guys were fantastic.
Fantastic.
You guys were fantastic.
You were fantastic too. No. Yeah, right there.
First of all, it's an honor to meet you, Mr. Grelle.
He says it's an honor to meet you. The guy who's asking you the question right now.
And I
An
hope
honor
you
to
get
meet you
better.
as well.
And I hope you get
All
better.
the way here from Texas.
And he says he hopes you get better.
Thank you very much. I hope I do.
I have a question, but
I do not advise having an epic battle with strep throat. Both sides lose.
He's trying to ask this question.
sorry. Alexis, what was it like doing the Blood Sea movie? Because I've never seen you in a role where it was that was like your darkest role.
Oh yeah. Oh hey, that's another one. We were both in the Blood Sea movie together.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. What was your character's name in the Blood Sea movie?
What's his name?
He was the nerdy guy with the glasses that was always freaking out. Right? Yeah, that was.
Yes. I'm constantly screaming.
Oh, Fujimura, that was your name.
Yeah,
Yes,
Fujimura.
Fujimura. Being in the Blood Sea movie was so much fun, especially since it was so different from the series Saya. Because has anyone in here seen Blood Sea? Anyone else? Have you guys seen the movie? Okay, yeah. Blood Sea. Saya's very happy-go-lucky and la la la, and higher girly voice that I'm used to doing. And then as the series progresses, I won't spoil it for anybody, but her voice changes because of circumstances. And in the movie, her voice is completely different, and it's the lowest thing vocally that I've ever voiced. So that was really
That was
challenging.
pretty cool.
Oh my girl. But it's also, not only was it low, but she's very serious and animalistic too. Like whenever she's really angry, there's a lot of like, for lack of a better term, growling and screaming, like rage. Like she is so angry in that movie. And I mean, if you see the series, you understand why. But she's just out for blood, literally. And so it was really, really, really fun, really challenging. I couldn't record for very long at a time because it was so hard on my voice, and I'd be like, "Hey, go home, it hurts." But it was so much fun, and it was really cool because me and Josh was there, Mike McFarland, who directed the movie, and then Alyssa Galindo, who was our engineer for the series. They showed the movie at an Alamo Draft House, which is I don't know if you guys have that here. It's a movie theater where you can go and like eat and watch a movie at the same time, and they showed.
It sounds like a studio movie grill or movie tavern if they have anything like that up there.
And it was so cool because we got to go and we hadn't seen it before. We just saw what we had recorded, and so to go and not only see it in its entirety and its completion, but also to see it on a big screen was just so cool. That was when was that? Was that like in October?
Yeah, I want to say like October. November.
Yeah, oh yeah, because it's for
still
Halloween.
October.
Yeah. So, and I think we saw it before it got released on DVD, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that was really cool. But yeah, that was really, really fun. And I always love getting to play characters that are drastically different from what I'm used to playing, and she definitely fell into that category. So yeah, it was really cool. Anybody else? Questions? Yes.
You have a microphone for this?
Oh.
I know usually when you're recording, you don't really get to interact much, but have you ever had an opportunity to do a commentary together?
Oh yeah. The question was, have we done commentaries together, Josh?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's where the shenanigans really.
Yes.
We're ridiculous if you get us in the room. We're ridiculous together in general.
At conventions, well, we have a joke that whenever we find out that we've both been invited to the same convention, we're like, oh man, they don't know what they've done. We're gonna burn the building down. Not literally, but you know.
Oh.
No. Let's see what we've done. We did a Line Girls of Iron commentary together.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
we've also did. I talk for a living.
Yeah. I can't talk this morning either. It's okay.
Yeah.
Did we do
We also
Aquarium?
did I think we did a second grade commentary at some point, but I don't think so. I may not have. I know that we did a Baka and Test commentary together.
Yes. Well, and we were both on the Blood Sea movie commentary, but Mike had us record separately. He just put it all together, so it sounded like we were all doing it at once, but we weren't.
I still need to listen to that.
It's good. It's really good. But yeah, no, commentaries are really fun because it kind of depends on the director, but sometimes the directors want to ask you specific questions about the experience of working on the show, and then they just have, the show playing in the background. Other times, directors are like, no, just riff on it, like react to what you're seeing on the screen as you're doing the commentary on that episode. It kind of just depends on the director's preference, but yeah, I mean, we're just nuts when we do commentaries.
Yeah.
Well, and usually the commentaries that I've been in with you, it's the kind where we're not really answering specific questions, or if we are, it's a balance of specific questions and then just like talking about random stuff. So if you give Josh and I an excuse to be random, it just explodes. Yeah, but commentaries are fun. And on that note, a common question I get sometimes is, why don't we do commentaries on the entire show? Like, why don't we just do them on one episode? And that's really because it costs money to do the commentaries, and it's a budget thing. It'd be really cool if we could do commentaries on all the episodes, but yeah, usually we do one like per contract. It'll be like on the 6th episode and the 12th episode, or something like that. Yeah.
Or they'll try to find an episode that maybe a big important event in the show will happen in, and they'll do it on that as well.
Anybody else? Yeah.
This is for both of you guys.
Okay. Oh, question for both of us. We have a microphone now, so hopefully you can hear them.
Just want to ask, what were your favorite roles to play?
Oh, did you hear that?
One more time.
Oh, what were our favorite roles to play?
Okay.
That's hard.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of good ones.
Well, and then
I really enjoyed Kuranosuke and Princess Jellyfish was a lot of fun.
Oh, and then I played your little boy self. That was interesting.
Yeah.
I'm the younger version of Josh. This is so weird. Yeah, you were so good at that. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was challenging. That was easily one of the more challenging things I've done in terms of voice work because of the duality of the character.
Yeah. Anyone seen Princess Jellyfish in here? Okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 7 people raised their hand.
Sweet.
So-
Well, it's on Netflix, so
Yeah.
none of you
I
have
can't
an
find it
excuse
though.
not to see
Oh,
it.
someone said they couldn't find it on
It
Netflix.
was on
Really?
Netflix and now they don't have any answers. That makes me sad.
Oh, well, someone said it was on yesterday. Maybe they put it back. I don't know.
Ah,
Maybe check again. Maybe Netflix was derping out when you checked. Who knows?
It's also on
Oh, it's also on Hulu apparently.
Okay, cool.
That's cool. Man, I mean, I'm always happy to get work, so I love all the characters I've been able to play, like for different reasons. But I really like playing Sunsetto in My Bride is a Mermaid, just because that show was like so manic and crazy, and just it was like, oh, fit 20 lines of dialogue and this much for that. So that was challenging. Saya was really fun. Any other favorites for you? Josh?
Anichi was fun. I really enjoyed Komatsu and Toriko. Just getting to basically be Krillin with a nose. And that was a lot of fun. If anybody's never seen Toriko, I highly recommend it if you're a fan of DB. It's from the same studio that made Dragon Ball Z, but instead of, it's food and fighting. And really, what more is there to life?
It's pretty long too, isn't it? Isn't it like?
Yeah, we dubbed the first 50 episodes, but it's still ongoing, and you can watch it like all the subtitle stuff on the simulcast on Funimation website.
You should be watching. Like freaking everyone else out. There was this guy. His name's Steven, and he doesn't work for Funimation, but he's friends with a lot of us, and he was visiting Texas, and he sent us all this video where he's videotaping himself, and he's outside, he's clearly outside, and there's a bush behind him, and he goes, "They told us we should be watching," and he turns the camera around and stands up, and he's right outside Funimation, and he's like, filming it, and he goes, "We are!" We're encouraging stalking with our
I never saw
catchphrase.
that. It's hilarious.
I think he tagged a bunch of us, I can't talk either, tagged a bunch of us in it on Facebook. So I will show you sometime.
Okay.
We talk for a living. Let's see, what time is it? Okay, we got plenty of time. Any more questions? Yes. Microphone. Yes, you.
How did you get into voice acting?
How did we get into voice acting? You want to take this first?
I'm having trouble with my connection.
We can, wait, you are?
Yeah, hang on. I'm going to
Your question broke his internet.
I'm going to switch to my desktop. I'm on the laptop right now. It has a secure line on my internet. This is on Wi-Fi, so I'll call you in a second.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Way to cop out of that question.
Okay. Well, while he's figuring that business out, do you want the long story or the short story? Long story? Okay. I feel like I make people's eyes glaze over. Okay, so began when I was a senior in high school, and I was in theater in high school, and this woman named Natasha came from Funimation because at the time they were doing Peach Girl, if anyone's seen Peach Girl, and it's about like real life high school situations. It's like a high school love drama triangle shenanigans. And what they wanted to do for their marketing, she was from the marketing department, what they wanted to do was recreate screenshots from Peach Girl using real high school students as a means to like show that, look, you're in high school, you can connect to this show, or I don't really know what it was, but so she came to our school and used the theater department to take these pictures of us recreating these scenes, and my drama teacher knew that I was, I was into anime and like whatever, and she was like, oh, you know what this is, do you want to like be the liaison between our department and Funimation and like talk to this woman since you know what she's talking about? And I was like, sure. And so I made friends with this woman named Natasha, and when the project was over, I had been thinking about, oh my gosh, like Funimation's not far from where I live, and I'm already an actor, and I've been acting for most of my life, and like this, and I'm an anime fan. This would be so cool to like combine the two. And so I asked her. I said, I really wanted to submit myself for an audition, and I had some very specific questions for her. This is what I have. Like, what else do I need? And so she was gracious enough to answer my questions, and I submitted myself for an audition. And at least for Funimation, what that entails is an acting resume and what's called a character voice demo, which is just like a minute and a half of you talking to yourself in different character voices, just to kind of give them an idea of what you can do with your voice. And so at the time, Funimation was located in Dallas proper. It's now located in a suburb of Dallas. I'll get to that later. But at the time, they were sharing a building with a bank in downtown Dallas. It was really small. And I was lucky enough, a couple weeks later, they reviewed my audition, and they called me in to come audition for them. And they were auditioning for One Piece at the time, which is still going on, and that was 5 years ago, which blows me away.
It's a good anime.
Exactly. And so the very, very first show I ever auditioned was for One Piece, and it was with Leah Clark. Those of you that are familiar with Leah Clark, she's awesome. And I auditioned for her, and they said, okay, well, we'll be casting the lead roles in about 2 or 3 weeks. We'll let you know. And so I waited and I waited and I waited, and I didn't hear anything. And I was like, okay, well, this was really fun. Glad I tried, but whatever, say la vie. And so I graduated from high school and decided that I wanted to try going away for college my freshman year. And so I went to Texas Tech in Lubbock, and great school, hated Lubbock. Felt like the world was passing me by. And while I was there, I decided that, I'm not satisfied with this. Like, I really want to try again. And having tried it once already, I've learned a lot. And I was a theater major at Texas Tech. And so I'm like, I'm going to be away at school for a year. And then I want to transfer back home, mostly because I don't like Lubbock, but also because I want to give this another shot. And so I took that year to really study voice acting. Like, I bought books, and I asked my professors about the voice in general, and because I knew theater acting, I knew stage acting, that was my background, and that's all I knew about. And so I kind of studied and got more familiar. I sent emails to people, I asked questions. I transferred back home, and Natasha, who I had kept in contact with, told me that Funimation was looking for a marketing intern, and I was like, that's really awesome, and all I know is acting. I should probably study something else. Like, I'm a fan of backup plans. And so I went and interviewed for this internship, and it was like a 4-hour interview in front of 7 people. And hang on just a second, I'm answering the question. Okay, hang on. And so I ended up being hired for the internship, and so it was really exciting. And on my first day, they were taking me around and introducing me to everyone in the building. And even though this was for marketing, they took me over to production side and were introducing me to production side people. And Tara Williams, who's our talent coordinator, and she's the one that books you, was standing there. And I said, hi, you probably don't remember me. I met you like a year ago. I came into audition, but my name's Alexis Tipton. Nice to meet you again. And she goes, wait a second, what's your name? And I said, Alexis Tipton. And all of a sudden, she's like, hang on. And she starts like moving stuff around on her desk and is looking for something. And she's like, okay, I need your information. And I'm like, why? And she goes, well, when you auditioned for One Piece a year ago, we were in the middle of moving, and we didn't solidify your information, and so it wasn't in our system, and we wanted to call you. And so I was like, I'm so glad I came home. And so she got my information, and about a week later, I went into audition for Tora-Con, and the director was Leah Clark, again. And so and I didn't say anything, and she's like taking me back into the studio so I can audition, and she turns around in the middle of the hallway and she goes, did you audition for One Piece like a year ago? And I was like, yes. And so she was like, oh my gosh, like I totally wanted to call you in for stuff, and like we lost your information, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you're here now, this is so awesome. And so it was like this very serendipitous, meant to be, so glad you moved home type of thing. And she ended up casting me in Tower of Draga, which was the first show that I ever worked on. And I became a voice actor and a marketing intern at about the same time. And I loved my marketing internship. It was so much fun. And I was a marketing intern for about a year and only stopped because I couldn't balance, because I started getting more work as a voice actor. And I was working on an independent film at the time, and I was going to school, and something had to give. I couldn't balance all of it anymore. So yeah, it was really awesome, and that's my really long story. Thank you. So Josh, how did you get? Oh wow, you're in like high definition now. Yeah. Oh wait, hang on. Yes, we can.
Oh, hello.
Hopefully you weren't making any weird faces while I was telling my story. Okay, so how did you get into voice acting?
I was very lucky, actually. I've been in theater since I was about 5, and knew very early on that I wanted to get into some sort of voice work. And through a friend of mine who lived in Austin, he went to high school with the girl who was the voice of Nadia in Nadia's Secret of Blue Water all those years ago, and got me the number for what was then ADV Films' Austin branch called Monster Island Studios. And I called and emailed them ad nauseum for about a year, like once or twice a month, just letting them know that I was still interested and I wanted to come down there. And finally they said, yeah, okay, well, we're doing bits and Walla for a show called Wedding Peach, and we'd like you to come down. And so I did, and that was my first little bit of voice work, and I guess they liked me enough to keep using me, and here I am.
Oh, hey, explain what Walla is.
Walla it stands for With All Actors. It basically is just if there's ever a scene where all the main characters are in kind of like a marketplace or at a baseball game, Walla is just where you get like 5 or 6 actors into a booth at a time to just make random sounds or, hoop and holler like you're at a baseball game, or just random conversations like you're shopping in a mall, that you're eating at a cafe, and you fill in all the background ambience.
Yep. And you can usually get away with saying really ridiculous things.
Yeah, and it's gonna get buried in the mix. So
yeah. As long as you don't say, unless it's Shinchan, unless you don't say a cuss word or a trademarked phrase, anything goes. Oh yeah.
One of my favorite Walla stories actually involves a show called Magic-Con, one of the first things I ever wrote, and Chris Ayers directed it. There's a scene where the students are putting on an impromptu festival and a beauty contest, of course. And Chris Patton is one of the people he brought in for Walla, and he spent maybe 5 minutes just talking like he was a man walking around the festival, just looking for meat up on a stick. and he just continuously talked about how grand it was, how amazing it was going to be when he actually got his meat on a stick. And then there was a cut. There was a break in the Walla, and then about 5 minutes later we do Walla again, and he came back, and he was the same guy, but he had found his meat on a stick. And he completely improvised the entire thing. It was one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Well, that's a really cool thing about Walla is that especially if you're a beginning voice actor, it's a perfect place because there's rarely a script. They may give you ideas of what to say, like, oh, you're at this robot convention, so you need to here's the name of this model that you can be commenting on, or here's the name of this person that made this thing that you all are freaking out over. Or they'll give you ideas, so it's not totally random in case people pick up on what you're saying. But it's really great because that's a great place to experiment with character voices, and I guarantee directors are listening. So if anyone ever, yeah. And so some people look down on Walla, it's. I saw that. Some people look down on Walla. They're like, oh, Walla's beneath me. I'm so much more talented than that. It's like, dude, I've been working for 5 years and I still do Walla. I still don't try. Okay, no one is ever too good for a paycheck. All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But no, and Walla's so fun.
So y'all take that then.
Yeah, and Walla's super fun because there is no script and you can just go crazy. So
sometimes the directors can get super specific about exactly what they want sometimes. Okay, for the next 35 seconds you're an alcoholic giraffe talking about his underwear. But time is money, let's go. It's okay.
Whatever. So you drinking your whatever?
My water.
Oh.
There's water in this cup. Nothing else.
What is on your cup? What is that? Oh, what?
I have no idea. It's one of my cups.
Whatever. We got about 20 minutes, so we got plenty of time for questions. Anybody else got questions? Well, apparently, I know. That's the face I'm making on the inside. Yes. Oh, so sorry, I didn't see you and then you. Sorry.
Okay. Shiki, your role as Kaori. How'd you like that?
Well, she spends most of the series terrified, so. No, what was it? Someone on Twitter sent me something really funny about that. They said, something about like, Kaori wins like the award for the most therapy ever needed for a single character. Yeah, no, because like the entire, has anyone seen Shiki? Anyone in here? It's a beautiful, beautiful show. Physically beautiful, and then it's about vampires and all. Tia Ballard's in that one too, so if you go to Tia Ballard's panel, be sure to ask her about that. She played my best friend, except she doesn't think, her character doesn't think we're best friends, but my character is like all about it, so that was kind of an inside joke. It's like, we're best friends, we're totally best friends, and she's like, God, I hope you die. Like, really go away. And then she ends up, like, she ends up punishing Kaori for being so annoying, I won't spoil it. But yeah, no, Kaori is like, one of the only people that doesn't turn into a vampire in her town. So it's like everybody is like coming after her because she's the only human, one of the only humans. But yeah, it was really fun. Like it was cool because she starts off so like, yeah, the world's rainbows and bunnies and yay, I love everybody and da-da-da-da-da, to like, oh my God, like I need a posthumous name because someone's gonna kill me tonight. Like, and chewing on a shovel handle. Like, seriously. Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? One of the jokes we had about that though is it's a beautiful show, but the art style is very strange and everybody has sea creature hair. Like, Kaori has starfish hair, and her brother looks like a sea urchin, and I think it's Monica's character has like jellyfish hair, and like it's very, I mean, anime is known for having really interesting hair colors and styles, but this show, like, they were trying to like make it as ridiculous as possible. But the music is gorgeous, and their use of color and shadows and all that kind of stuff creates a really, really interesting atmosphere. And so, yeah, it was a really fun show. Really, really
I love
cool
this
show.
scene when you and Lucy are going to dig up the grave and she's singing.
Oh yeah, it's like, stop! Why are you singing? Huh? Oh my God! You guys have no idea. This is a new thing. Where did you buy this puppet?
Adopted me.
Clarence. His name's Clarence, by the way.
My name is Jerk Zilla. Get it right.
It's Clarence. Because we all know you're a sensitive dinosaur.
I found him at Shinkoucon in Austin a couple weeks ago.
And
Favorite.
and the entire time, it was you and Terry Doty, right? You guys were at that convention together? Yeah. And the entire weekend, he kept sending me videos of this dinosaur. And they were all very off color.
Yeah. Very. He's not a color lizard.
No. Yeah, but he wants his name to be Jerkzilla, but his name's Clarence. So the sooner he accepts that. And I'm trying to find an equally ridiculous puppet so we can do a podcast with the puppets. So.
I think I may have found something for you, but...
Really?
Yeah,
Great.
I can go get it if you want to see it.
Yes! Oh my gosh!
My question was for Josh, so I gotta wait.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
What's moving?
Is it why do you ever
Chair.
stop it?
Clarence.
It's not a puppet, but...
What is it? It's so cute! I want it! Yay! He looks so angry.
I know, I'm just like...
Like he's like perpetually displeased, whatever he is.
I mean, I think they just look great together.
Yeah. They look like they can hate the world. Whoa! So someone has a question for you.
Okay.
Okay, so ask your question. He's ready.
I'm sorry, it's really hard to follow that. You had mentioned earlier about Princess Jellyfish and how that was challenging for you. I just want to get more information about how you got the role. Were you surprised you got the role? What did you need to do to be able to do that role?
Did you hear any of that?
Princess Jellyfish. Tell us about Princess Jellyfish.
She wants to know about Princess Jellyfish, like how you got the role of Tora-Con. Were you surprised? Like how did you prepare for it? Like all that business, since it was, so crazy.
Actually, Christopher Bevins, who was the director, because he knew exactly what he wanted from Tora-Con.
Whoa.
He had a pretty good idea that he wanted to have a male voice the character. The Japanese had used a female seiyuu. He wanted to have a male. So he went to everybody at the studio that he thought could potentially pull the character off like 3 weeks before auditions and said, okay, here's what's going on, and here's what I'm looking for, so work on the voice, work on being able to go between the female voice and just like the usual male voice. And I went into audition like 3 weeks later, and I think I was actually the first person to audition. And I ended up getting the part, and I was super, super excited because to prepare for the role, first and foremost, I went in, because we were simulcasting it, I went and watched the first episode. And then 6 hours later, I watched the entire series. It was so cool. It was one of those shows that kind of broke the mold and really kind of renewed my love for anime again. And super, super excited to get the role. And then to prepare, I said, okay, got this now. What exactly do you want me to do? Any particular things? He said, okay, you know what? How about just go and watch any season of Sex and the City, and I want you to be Samantha. Like, just watch Samantha, and that's pretty much what I want the female version of Kurnos. Like, when he's in drag, I want Kurnosuke to be that. And so I kind of I took Samantha and kind of made it my own, and kind of also threw in a little bit of Tabitha St. Germain's Rarity from the new My Little Pony, because I just thought it was hilarious. And that's what it was. That's pretty much all. That's what Kurnosuke was in my mind. At least in terms of voice and physicality. And I would get ridiculous in the booth, like to differentiate between the two personalities, or the duality of the character. When he was just himself, I would just kind of stand there with my hands in my pocket and just kind of be like, yeah, whatever. But whenever I was Kura, I was leaning up against like the side of the booth. I had my hand on my hip. I was just like all sass. It just brought the character out. It was a lot of fun. Excuse me while I die. Water.
Yay!
Was there anything else? Anything else on that question?
She says that's great. Good. She has a thumbs up. I don't think you can see me. Whatever. Thumbs up. Let's see. Oh, and then yes.
What's the oddest occurrence or event you've had during voice acting?
What's the oddest occurrence or event we've had during voice acting? Like while we're actually in the booth, or
in the booth, out of the booth, or being directed on with your peers.
He says like in the booth, out of the booth, directed. So at work, like
just weirdest occurrence.
Yeah, or event, or like something like weird that happened while we were actually working.
While we were working.
This wasn't weird, but it was surprising. Todd Havercorn, who lives in California now, but he still like goes back and forth to Funimation Studio. Because he had flown in, he got in like a little earlier than expected one time. And and Todd Havercorn, like, he's been around for longer than I have, and his body of work is incredible. And he's a friend of mine, but he's still intimidating, like as a fellow actor, because he's so accomplished. And he likes to come in when he's in town and sit in on my sessions if I'm recording at the same time. And he'll just come in and be like, what you working on today? And sit down. I'm like, don't look at me while I record. And it's usually on some, like, he did that on Hagenai. I was recording Rika for Hagenai, which is a lot of like very off-color, like sexual comments. And he comes in and I'm like, don't look at me. And he like, there's like a pane of glass, and he'd get up and like stand right there and just stare at us. Bevins has a Nerf gun that he shoots at us. That's pretty funny.
I love that guy.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, yeah, when we were recording the first season of Baka, Terry Doty kept throwing Sharpies at me whenever I tried to get out of the booth.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, and then on that same show, we had all these inside jokes to Terry Doty about Charlie the Unicorn, so there were a lot of Charlie the Unicorn shenanigans. When we were recording Line Barrels of Iron, Caitlin Glass was the director for that, and she was out of town for like a week, and so it put us behind on the recording schedule, and so those of us that were in the show had to come and record after hours to make up the lost hours. And I remember she and I were at Funimation at like 10 o'clock at night, and it usually closes at 6, and we were the only ones there, and during our break, we had this like Vegeta mascot costume, and so there's like a mascot head of Vegeta, and it's like this big, and so we were like taking it all over Funimation and putting it in like weird places and taking pictures of it, and then like waiting for people to find it the next day. And like we have a giant statue of it's like a life-size statue of Al from Full Metal Alchemist, and we put like the Vegeta head on that, or we put the Vegeta head. We have a zombie mannequin. Don't ask me why. We put it on him. I don't like it. It's scary. I don't like it.
It is. It's ridiculous. It's creepy.
It's really scary. Yeah, working at Funimation, we're all a bunch of kids. Like, seriously. So any like typical shenanigans that you can imagine the children would do and get themselves involved in, that's what happens at Funimation. It's also the highest concentration of pranksters in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. So April Fool's Day is a very scary day if you work at Funimation. Yeah.
Especially if you know Chris Sabat's.
Oh god. Well, we call it sabotage because he's the master.
He really did.
Like, I think he's too good for his own good. But it's so funny because if someone else pranks him, he can't handle it. He's a great pranker, but he can't, like, he can dish it out, but he can't take it. It's really funny. Yeah.
I figured out one story that easily is the weirdest occurrence ever, and it happened when I was recording Kenichi, the second season of Kenichi. We had a special guest come into the studio from, he was visiting from Australia. He had met Chris Sabat at an Australian convention, so he was an actor, and was just coming up and touring the studio, and I guess I was either the only person that was recording at the time, which I find very hard to believe, so I'm sure it was just that Kenichi was just the show that was the most kid-friendly. So suddenly this kid comes in, he's like maybe, I want to say 14, 15 years old, but he looks so familiar and I can't like figure it out. And then suddenly it dawns on me, holy crap, this is the kid that was Anakin Skywalker in The Phantom Menace. And I'm like, Darth Vader's watching me record.
I knew he came up to the studio, but I didn't know you met him. That's so funny.
Yeah, no, and like I didn't really get to meet him. I didn't get to get out of the booth and really shake his hand or anything. He just came in, watched me record a scene for like 5 minutes, and then left. And it was the most uncomfortable thing I have ever done. And it was just weird because I'm sitting here going, he looked exactly like he did, just taller. And it was just weird.
Oh my god.
Could you please put on the armor so I'm not as freaked out?
Well, and Rick Santorum drops by sometimes. That's really strange. The politician, yeah, it's really weird. Like the last place I expect to see him.
Like this.
Yes. It's
That's
so
pretty much
cute.
what whenever he comes.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anybody else? Questions?
Favorite line or blooper you did?
Favorite
both of you guys?
Favorite line or blooper that we've done? You've left me a lot of bombs.
Oh yeah,
Like,
we
you're like
can't
the
really discuss the bombs.
They're all kind of appropriate. Let's see. It's so hard to think of favorite lines.
I'll never be your donut.
Shannon, you're the donut to his banana. Yeah, that's pretty funny. That was a bucket I don't know, like all the stuff in Aquarion Evil was really fun.
Oh my
Like
God.
me like yelling at you all the time. I'm sorry.
You're the one that's been plugging my hole.
No, because like that he can create holes, and my character's power is that she can like fill them in. And so it's like, you're the yin to my bad A, yay! Or like, you have some line like that, yeah. And
Andy had some.
Andy's so funny. Yeah, and then I hated it because we changed the pun because his name is Andy W. It's spelled H-O-L, and so we were pronouncing it as hole, and we're like, oh, punny, because he makes holes, and so there was like this pun that we made where she kept calling him a-hole because his name's Andy Hole, and then they were like, no, we have to. The Japanese who still have a lot of say even when we're dubbing things, they came back and they were like, no, you need to pronounce it Hall. Like H-A-L, like Andy W. Hal, or Hal. How do you?
It's not an A.
I know! We know our alphabet, and that's not how you're saying it. So they said Horu. They were like, Andy W. Horu. It's like so funny. But yeah, and so we like totally lost that pun, and it was, rest in peace, pun. Well, about 5 minutes or so. Anybody? Did you have it? Yeah, over there.
This is more for you, Alexis,
Oh,
Josh, because you just grew up. But
sorry.
can you give us an example of some kind of vocal variance that you typically do, like the highest voice versus the lowest?
Oh, jeez. You're making me dance. Oh, gosh. Okay.
Take a sip of water first.
Right, yeah. Let's see, I'm trying to think of, the highest character.
Or one that you haven't done yet, you know.
Well, if you follow my Vine, I experiment with voices on there sometimes. Well, the highest character that, What? What did you say? The highest character that I've done, I think is Kumajiro from Italia. That's pretty high. That's, who are you? It's hard to tell what you are. You should try to act more Canadian. On a National Canadian Day or whatever, like they have like a Canada Day. I did like a Vine message where I was talking as Canada Bear. It was like Happy Canada Day or like something weird, like I don't know, but it was like it's hard to tell who you are, like that one. And then I guess the lowest was Saya. And that one hurts. Let's see, I'm gonna pick up the mic so I don't have to yell. What does she say? She doesn't talk much. She yells a lot.
I know about elder bears.
Oh wait, what's the line? Do you know about? Oh, what do you know about elder bears?
What do you know about the elder bears?
Get to the chopper. And then of course there's like stuff in between, but I think that's the. And then Mizuki was pretty high, but she's like got the breathy quality too, so it's like, oh, I think I did it earlier, but it's like, I'm pretty sure that you're the donut to his banana. You know, like that. It's not appropriate! He says, you can do voices if you want, Josh, but he said that he would make you since you have stress. If you want to give it a shot, you're more than welcome to.
What? Like what's the?
Oh, he was asking like a highest voice or lowest voice or just like different kinds of voices that we do. Or I went highest and lowest, but you could do like regular, you could do like your Andy voice and then your like villain voice from Shikabane Hime. That's pretty different. And it's a totally different character too.
Shinkoucon, Akasha. How was Akasha?
It didn't even sound like you. It took me forever to figure out that.
So I'm gonna have to go on so Akisashi was just something kind of like that. My highest though.
Oh, what was it?
The cross-dressing one.
Oh yeah, Kuronosuke was pretty high. What was it? Baka and Test was pretty.
I'll try. We'll try this.
Sick.
Out of water. What was Kuronosuke line? Oh, you're just fabulous, darling.
You can hear because they're clapping for you.
Yeah.
Yay! I heard myself in your. Never mind, that was weird. Inception. I think we got time for one more question, probably. Yeah.
Could you do sort of a swap where you say some of your high voice lines in your low voice? And your low voice
Oh my god. Okay, he wants us to swap. Take your highest, so take Kuronosuke, but say your Akasha line. Like your highest character, but your lowest character is not, and vice versa.
That's a good one.
I gotta think of a better off-the-show line.
Something about like death or something.
Listen, Ori Kakumi, you'll only get there if you manage to kill 108.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, by the way, you're fabulous. You're fabulous, darling.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Don't use makeup at all.
This is a trip. Okay, wait. So Kumajiro, in Saiga's voice? Oh dear. Okay.
It's hard to tell who you are. You should try to act more Canadian.
And then, what was it? Where are the Elder Barons? Is that the line?
What do you know about them?
Oh, what do you know about Elder Barons?
And it could be Canada Barons.
Canada Barons? What do you know about the Canada Barons, eh? How much time do we have? Oh, we're already over. Dang it. Okay, well, that's all the time we have. Say bye.
Thank you. You guys have fun.
Bye.
WeRiseMag.com